It's time to start learning about different types of taxes. Take a moment to write down some of the taxes you've heard about. Transactions, that is buying and selling, also create social benefits because business transactions are often taxed. Governments use these tax dollars to fund important services such as healthcare, education, etc. Tax dollars generated from business transactions are referred to as sales taxes. Accounting for sales taxes can be complex due to government regulations. The rules regarding sales taxes can change whenever the federal government, or provincial governments pass new laws. Now let's talk about harmonized sales taxes, or HST. HST is a percentage tax based on the price of goods or services sold to a customer. The current rate is 13%. Harmonized means that the provincial and federal government rates have combined. All businesses with sales greater than $30,000 per year must register for HST. Each registrant is given a specific business number that they can use when submitting HST to the government. So how did HST come about? HST came into effect in Ontario on July 1st, 2010. Prior to July 1st, consumers were charged 8% PST and 5% GST separately. PST was collected provincially and GST was collected federally. Now HST is 13% and includes the 5% federal portion and 8% provincial portion. So what do we pay HST on? By going to the following link, you can see some items that are and are not charged HST. Most goods subject to HST are bought primarily at the retail level. We can discuss these products further in class. Now moving on to HST requirements. The seller or vendor is given the responsibility of administering the tax. This is why when you go to the store, you pay 13% more than the ticketed price. The seller's responsibilities include calculate the tax and add it to the price of the goods, collect the tax from customers, accumulate the HST into a special account called the HST payable in the liabilities section, and remit or hand over the accumulated sales tax to the government monthly, quarterly, or annually depending on the company's annual revenues. Now let's look at some of the accounting entries. Recording HST on a cash transaction. The accounting entry will look as follows. We are going to debit bank, credit sales, and credit HST payable. The sales would be the price, and the HST payable is what we have to hold on to for the government. For this entry, the amount of tax can be read off the cash sales slip or POS summary. Recording HST on a sale on account. The accounting entry will look as follows. We are going to debit accounts receivable, credit sales, and credit HST payable. For this entry, the amount of tax can be read off the sales invoice. Now moving on to HST receivables. This is where it might get a little tricky. This is what companies have already paid in HST. All businesses are entitled to recover the HST that they are charged by their suppliers. This HST paid is recorded in a contra, that is, debit balanced liabilities account. The accounting entry will look like this. For a purchase of office supplies from our supplier, we are going to debit office supplies, debit HST recoverable, which is our contra liabilities account, and credit bank. Remitting HST to the government. This means handing over the money of taxes we have been holding onto for the government. Businesses are required to file an HST return monthly, quarterly, or annually within 1 month following the end of their reporting period. The transaction looks like this. We are going to debit HST payable, credit HST recoverable, and credit bank. Our bank is only credited $741.75 because we are entitled to recover the HST that we have already been charged by our suppliers. That is our HST recoverable. Let's see what HST looks like on the balance sheet. Let's remember that HST recoverable is recorded on the balance sheet as a contra liability account. It would look like this. In bold, we can see our HST payable less our HST recoverable. This means what's coming out of our bank to pay the government of taxes will be $741.75. At this point, you should have a better understanding of sales taxes and HST in Ontario.